All right, guys, we're going to keep on working through our chapter 7 on expressions and patterns. Well, now we get to our patterns portion of this. So, a sequence is a list of numbers that follows a specific pattern. So, a sequence is multiple terms, and that's exactly what a term is a number in this list. Now, these three dots that we notice, that indicates that this goes on and on and on and on, and that's also called an ellipsis. So let's look at a couple examples. So Mary and her friends find a four-leaf clover during lunch. Oh, how lucky. So a four-leaf clover has four leaves. The table shows the total number of leaves for several four-leaf clovers. Extend the pattern to find the next three terms. Well, we first need to identify what's the sequence. So each term in the sequence can be found by adding 4. So it's pretty straightforward as I notice that I am adding 4 from 4 to 8, I get 8. Add 4 more, I get 12. Add 4 again, 16. So the next term, if I were to extend our table and say our fifth, our sixth, our seventh term here, well, 16 plus 4 is 20. So I'm going to take that and make that the starting point for the next term. So 20 plus 4 is 24. Again, I'm going to take that number and that becomes the starting point. 24 plus 4 is 28. So the next three terms would be 20, 24, and 28. So the next three in our number here, or in our line, 20, 24, and 28. All right. Let's do another one here. So Maria and Young are training to run a half marathon. A half marathon is about 13 miles. So their weekly training plans are shown in a table. Use the information to write a sequence to represent each person's weekly training plan. Then compare them. All right, well, we know that Maria, she runs 2 miles. So for each week, she's going to run 2 miles for each of the next 4 weeks. So let's draw out a table. This is going to be a little bit more helpful here. So I know that for the first week, Maria is going to run 2 miles. All right, and then our second, she's going to run two more. So she's ran 4. Our third week, she's going to run two more on top of that. So that's 6. Our fourth week, she's going to run 8 miles. And then for the fifth week, she's going to have ran 10 miles. All right. Now, Young is going to run 4 miles each week for each of the next 4 weeks. So they've got 4 miles the first week, and now I'm going to add 4 more, so plus 4. Now I've got 8. This is the same pattern as as that first example. So 8 plus 4 is 12, plus 4 is 16, plus 4 is 20. So each week, Maria will run 2 more miles and Young will run 4 more miles than the previous week. That's the sequence that we're dealing with. So write a sequence with 5 terms for Maria's training plan, and that would be exactly what we notice here. That would be what we would write on that line, and then we could identify and say that Young is got theirs, and we could put that down here. So compare the training plans. Young plans to run, well, if I'm looking at it, each week, well, he's going to run twice as many miles as Maria. All right, let's look at the next one. So write the next three terms in the sequence 1, 4, 7, 10. Oh, well, this gets a little tricky because I can't just double this, right? This isn't, 1 times 2 or, something like that. So I need to identify what is the pattern. Well, I see that I can add 3. So 1 plus 3 is 4. Does this still work? 4 plus 3 is 7. Yeah. All right, let's double. Hopefully it works the third time. 7 plus 3 is 10. Yeah, so this works. So each term in the sequence can be found by adding 3 to the previous term. So if we need to identify the next three terms, well, 10 plus 3 is 13. I'm going to make that my starting point and say, well, 13 plus 3 is 16. Again, that's where I start from. 16 plus 3 is 19. So the next three terms are 13, 16, and 19. All right, let's do a few more examples here. All right, so we'll just do four more here. All right, so identify the pattern, then write the next three terms. Oh, okay. So 0, 7, 14, 21. Well, I can see, well, 0 plus 7 is 7, all right? Let's bring that down just a little bit. Hopefully that pattern still works. 7 plus 7 is 14. 14 plus 7 is 21. Yeah, that does work. So 21 plus 7 would give us 28. Add 7 more, we get 35. 35 plus 7 is 42. Well, that should work out because hopefully you can see your multiplication and say, well, 7 times 1 is 7, 7 times 2 is 14, 7 times 3 is 21, times 4, 28, times 5, 35, times 6 is 42. Yeah, that's a good pattern. All right, so let's now look at our next one here. So we need to identify, well, 1,458. How does that compare to 486? And then how does that compare to 162? And then 54. That's not an even, I can just add 54. I mean, if I were to try to say that, well, I would say, well, 54 plus 54, well, 4 and 4 is 8, 5 and 5 is 10. Well, that doesn't work. I'm not adding 54 to each thing, so I'm not doubling it. Huh. All right, so let's take another gainer and think, well, if I were to have 1458, well, and then 486. Well, 1458, that's kind of, if I round that off, that can almost be like about, remember that approximate 1500 and make it to the nearest 100. And if I did that 458, well, that's about 500. Well, how does 15 and 500 work? Well, it's about 3 times as big. So let's try that. All right. So uh, let's try dividing it by 3. So let's work down and say, well, 1,458. If I divide that by 3, well, 3 goes into 14 4 times. 4 times 3 is 12. Minus, I subtract, I get 2. I bring down my 5. 3 goes into 25. Well, that makes sense. It's 8. And 8 times 3 is 24. 25 minus 24 is 1. Bring down my 8. Oh, and 3 goes into 18, 6. I was about to write that down below. I was ahead of myself. Well, 486, that's the number I'm looking for. Yeah, so each of these is divisible then, or I'm dividing it by 3. So let's do that. So 54 divided by 3. So 54 divided by 3. 3 goes into 5 once. I subtract, I get 2, bring down my 4. 3 goes into 24, 8 times. So my next number is 18. Now, 18, this should work out a little bit easier. I know my facts at this point a whole lot better. 18 divided by 3 is 6. 6 divided by 3 is 2. Beautiful. All right, now 72, 66, 60, 54. Huh. All right, well, I can see 66 and 60. I subtract 6. Does that work? 60 minus 6 is 50. Yeah. So 66 plus 6, 70. Oh, yeah. So my pattern, remember we read left to right. So I am subtracting 6. So 54 minus 6, well, that would give us 48. 48 minus 6 is 42. And 42 minus 6 is 36. Excellent. And let's do one more here. So 1, 3, 9, and 27. Well, these are multiplication patterns of 3. So 1 times 3 is 3, times 3 is 9, times 3 is 27. All right. So if I were to multiply again and say, well, 27 times 3, well, 3 and 7 is 21. 1 down to carry the 2. 3 and 2 is 6, plus 2 is 8. So my next one is 81. And I'm going to take that and use it as my starting point. 81 times 3. 1 and 3 is 3. 3 and 8 is 24. So my next number is 243. And then I use that as my starting point and say 243 times 3. 3 and 3 is 9. 3 and 4 is 12. Carry the 1. 3 and 2 is 6 plus 1 is 7. And I get a beautiful 729. Excellent. All right. So from here, what you are going to be after is simply practicing doing the homework pages on this. All right. I will have an answer key posted on my OneNote page for you to check your work to mine. Please do not just jump there and write it down. That doesn't help anything, but it's there for you to reference and check yourself. All right. Thank you very much. Let me know if you have any questions.